So, hey everyone, thanks for joining us on another episode of Crappy Conversations. Today's episode is going to be brought to us by the letter R for relevancy. And I have the wonderful Beth McDonough here, one of my colleagues in the library, and we're going to talk about relevancy. So, Beth, why do you think relevancy is important when you're assessing information?
I actually think relevancy is key to the entire process. Whenever you're looking for information, you should have a question that's relevant to you or your discipline, something that feels important. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to sustain interest through the project. And then once you've established that question, then much to the chagrin of many librarians and teachers, there really aren't good and bad sources of information. There is just information. And the question is, does this information help to answer my question? And does it serve the purpose that I am trying to accomplish? So those are really important. So if your instructor says that you need to find 3 peer-reviewed journal articles, then yeah, go ahead, find the 3 peer-reviewed journal articles. That's what you need to do to get your A, go ahead. But in terms of accomplishing your purpose with the research assignment and satisfying your own intellectual curiosity and exercising your own criticality, then you're going to want to pay attention to what sources do you need to truly answer your question and truly express yourself. In librarianship, we like to think of research as joining a conversation. And in academia, the level of academia that you're entering, you're joining a conversation with experts in the field. So it's going to be really important that you understand the context of the question. So basically, it's not about finding 3 sources. It's about finding enough sources, yes, of course, to satisfy your instructor, but more importantly, finding enough sources to truly address your research question and come up with some meaningful information that allows you to be more articulate in a conversation that's been going on a long time and it's going to continue for a lot longer. So relevancy is key. And people always ask me, how do I know when I have enough sources? And I always say, well, when you start seeing the same information again and again and you're not learning anything new, then you realize that you have gained some kind of comprehensive understanding of the topic.
I really like that part at the end, actually, where you're talking about how I know a lot of students will say, okay, I hit the three sources. I did what I did. I could checked off all the boxes, but you might have found enough stuff to answer. You might not have found enough stuff to really answer your question. You might have just found enough to like kind of just key on that little part that you wanted to focus on in the beginning or at the end or in the middle. And you might need more sources to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really liked how you're talking about looking at different types of information, how there's no really perfect source of information. And when you need to find a scholarly article, you might need that because it's more relevant to writing scholarly writing, which you're doing when you're writing a paper.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, finding the right type of information to fit that. So, I mean, a lot of times if I'm trying to like fix something, I'll find something on YouTube. A scholarly article might not be the right thing there, but if I'm trying to learn a recipe, I'll go and look at like Bon Appetit or something like that in one of their videos because that's more appropriate for my needs at the time.
For your needs at the time.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly right. And it's the same thing. I saw an exercise once that I thought was very interesting. I mean, the kind of information, say you're trying to help your 13-year-old cousin with their homework. Well, you need a certain type of information for that. What if you're trying to investigate a personal health situation, or you want to advise your parents on a health situation? You would look a different place for that. So when you're entering the scholarly world, you're going to be asked to use scholarly and peer-reviewed sources, and that's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but that's okay. The mistake is, I don't think that you have to just limit yourself to only those sources, because you're still going to need some broad background in terms of reference. You're still going to need to address the whole question and enter the whole conversation and not just a piece of it. So that's where your own judgment comes into play. And that's a very important piece of what you're developing as you become information literate.
Yeah, that's so true. Because I know one of the things I get questions about all the time at the reference desk is it's, hey, I'm writing this paper. I need to find scholarly articles, and I need to find something that's just this huge, broad overview that defines the topic or tells me some broad statistic, on a large scale. And it's like, well, you're not going to find that necessarily in a scholarly article. You really want a reference source like an encyclopedia or something, an article off Credo or something like that that can give you this real broad definition.
Or even a book.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You don't have to read a whole book. You can use the index and a table of contents to zero in on the background that's important to you. So yes, you do need those kinds of really big picture pieces for you to be able to make sense out of a topic. The thing that's important to understand is you're entering into academic disciplines where experts are writing for other experts. And the venue for that are scholarly journals. So if I'm an expert writing for another expert and I publish it in a scholarly journal, I'm not writing for a college freshman. So it's all about context. So yes, we want you to get a taste, a flavor of those articles. We want you to be able to understand research and data and how it applies to your field. But you also have to gain a broad understanding and use your own mental capacities to kind of drive your intellectual curiosity as you form new knowledge and new solutions in your area of study. Your voice is important. As well to the conversation, but it is a conversation, as I said, that's been going on for a while. So you're going to have to do like a lot of reading and have a lot of curiosity in order to gain the understanding that you need to fully participate in that conversation.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you framed that as a scholarly conversation, because it really is. Like, any piece of information you're looking at is just a tiny little bit of the whole larger picture, and you really need to make sure that you recognize that it's what you're looking at is just that one part of something larger. So, and sometimes you might want to look at that little part. Sometimes you might want to look at how that part plays a role in something bigger, or something that synthesized all that information along with other stuff. It really just depends on your needs.
I think it's funny because we all have a natural human sort of resistance to doing this. Maybe it's because we're told we need to do it and we need to do it in this way. I'm not sure. But my advice would just be, let it go. Let your, I mean, just let it go, because honestly,
have fun with it.
If you have fun with it, if you allow yourself to be curious, if you read more and consult more and have a better understanding, your paper is going to be so much easier to write.
Oh, 100%.
Never mind read. So
how are you expecting to have a paper that people want to enjoy reading if you're not going to enjoy writing it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly my point.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Beth. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Just trust your own curiosity as your compass and you'll do fine.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us here on CRAAPy Conversations, and tune in next time for our next letter, which is the letter A. So take care, guys.